Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the High Conflict Co-Parenting Podcast with Brook Olson and Charlie Jewett. He still lets me participate. Thank you for that, Brook. I'm enjoying myself. Sometimes you have to edit me out, but hey, c'est la vie, as they say, yes?
Well, the editing less than more, right? Like this.
So this is episode 71, Communication, Less is More. Now you've got a subtitle here, kind of watching the triggers. Tell me what we're talking about today.
Well, this is kind of a rotation back into a lot of the things that we have conversation with on an ongoing basis. But we're always trying to watch what our stories are and what we're getting triggered around. And when we can do that, we begin to be able to, again, come consciously into the conversation, into the reactive complex that's taking place, and we can start to again, disengage, watch what we need to communicate about and where we need to go. So what we're going to talk about today, again, is some of the sequencing, some of the things that get in the way. Will be specific to where to engage, where not to engage, and where to look at what to engage with.
Okay.
So this is a place where a lot of people struggle. And what really essentially happens in the communication process, because if we're doing this right, we've channeled this all down to email. We've channeled this all down to our family wizard. We've channeled this down into one of those two components where we have an opportunity to check ourselves. There's some space here. There's like, okay, I have to hit reply after I've gone through and typed everything out. And there's a process by which I'm not going to have to necessarily hit send. We're going to reduce that sending dramatically through this process. So the things that start to trigger us is, there's something that's put into this email. There's something that's put into this Our Family Wizard message. And it is a distortion. It's a lie. And the first piece is I have to set the record straight.
Yeah. Yep.
No, you don't have to set the record straight.
Yeah.
It's just something that's sitting out there that, again, if we step into, we're going to create energy in the process.
Yeah.
And then the idea is if I don't set the record straight, if I don't defend this, the thing that I hear from people all the time is, well, that's going to be construed as it's the truth. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing here. And again, that response is more. That response is that energy that's going to put back into the system, that's going to create the argument back and forth, that's going to keep us in this conflict. Attorneys, my attorney said, I have to respond. And your response to your attorney is to what? Why?
Yeah.
What am I responding to here? There's nothing that's taking place here. Well, it's going to be construed as the truth. No. This is minutia that's probably never going to find the daylight of court. It's probably never going to show up. And when it does, if it does, the reply is, there was nothing to do here. That was going to create an argument, and this was a fishing expedition, and I'm not going to reply to that kind of stuff. It only creates more conflict. And these judges, by and large, when you're thinking this through and you've got that sitting right in your pocket for a reply, they go, oh, that makes sense. Okay,
I have whatever the opposite of minutia is, I have things that are very apropos to the case that never get talked about. They just don't have time. I can't get to it. So if it is minutia, don't even bother.
Right. I mean, when we're looking at this with my clients, I'm digging into what's relevant here, what really needs to be brought up and what needs to be talked about. And if somebody's talking about all of this crap that really has no value, and what I'm bringing forward is the stuff that is relevant, that has value, then where are the judges and the counselors' ears going to perk up?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So what are the subjects and material that I need to have to respond to? We've talked a lot. We had a whole broadcast whole podcast on Here Kitty Kitty. So I'm going to refer you guys back to that for a moment. So when you've got a minute, if you haven't looked at that, here's a place where there isn't a place to respond here. This is that fishing expedition that's taking place. And that is certainly not a place that we need to respond to. And I'm going to kick you guys back to the fishing podcast as well, because this is the relevance of what we're trying to tie together in terms of communication. Less is more. So there's a place where we feel like we got to be nice. Not so much. Being nice is part of getting drawn in. Being nice in the communication style is this place of, oh, we can talk. Oh, we're going to go here. No, this is where boundaries get breached. And we're coming back and we're going to stay with Bill Eddy's idea of communication style, which is the BIFF, brief, informative, factual, and friendly. Boom, 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 boom. Nice, friendly, neutral is what I would say. I would say BIFN.
Yeah.
Brief, informative, factual, and neutral. Because when we're looking at this component, that friendly can be opening a door, that can be offering somebody in that, we're going to breach. This is a place where we're able to breach the boundary, and we don't want to be able to do that. We don't want to open that door.
Yeah.
So what are the things that come up that are triggering, that maybe aren't lies, but are maybe that place where we get pinged? And I think when we're in this communication conversation, what I wanted to do today is to break this down a little bit and go a little more specific to some of the things that come into this arena. And one of the things that they try to ping us on, right, is you made a bad decision.
Right.
We all make bad decisions at some point, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we just don't quite get it. And what we want to be able to do is go into the conversation about perspective. Well, that's their perspective. I may have made a bad decision. I didn't make a bad decision. That's just their perspective, right? We've looked at that.
Yeah.
So what do we do with that? No response, no defense. There's no reason to do it. Oh, I did make a bad decision. Oh, no response, no defending. People make mistakes.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, we go back and we retrofit it. We reverse engineer it. We solve the problem if there's a problem that needs to be solved on our own. And the response really isn't necessary there.
Yeah.
We take care of this piece on our own.
Right.
You're a bad parent. Huh. Again, perspective, right?
Yeah.
And the question always comes back to the internal conversation that we have over and over and over in these podcasts is how is my parenting? It's good. I could be better. And we're always striving for that. So that ping is that ping to me is a place where parents really get defensive. And I want to look at this from a place of, oh, that's just a reminder I can do better. Right?
Yeah.
It's just that tickle of, no, I can do better here, rather than go into the defense.
Right.
I need to look at that. Rather than go into defense, I need to look at that because, there is something here that I may have dropped the ball on. I need to do better here.
Yeah.
And again, just like the previous piece where I'm good at this, no, I need to make it better. I need to go there. You're evil. And you can take that to whatever extension that you want to take.
Yeah.
That's just crickets.
Yeah.
Nothing. You're hateful. You're mean. Again, a reminder, let's pay attention to your personal relationships and have proper boundaries with all of them. You don't let your relationships play a part in your parenting as it pertains to the other parent.
Talking about boyfriends and girlfriends, or kind of the new partners.
Right. Again, we push that partner back into the background. This is my relationship here, and if there's something going on, we peel them back. I know for your situation, Charlie, I mean, this is something that you are still dancing with a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it plays a part not so much from how this is affecting your children or what's going on with your ex, but it certainly has an effect on your current relationship, right?
Yeah.
This conversation in particular. So do you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like, or do you want to just kind of slide through this?
I don't know what it looks like. You can dig a little bit more, or tell me what your thoughts are. I mean, we've tried to blend the families pretty darn early. It wasn't like you parent yours, I'll parent mine. She's got a ton of wisdom and is super helpful. But there's certainly times we don't agree, or we have to deal with, like, someone has to make a decision, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to trump her on her beliefs of what's right for her kids or what moves she needs to make.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think, as blended as you get, there still will always sort of remain a his and hers kids, unless you have his, hers, and ours. Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is that's healthy. You're not. Right. The goal isn't to be totally blended, like they're exactly the same as mine and mine are exactly the same as hers, but to be there as a support and a non-judgmentally, and like let her make the best decisions she can. And she did the same for me.
Right. And in your situation, there's this component that comes back that we've talked about where there is judgment, where there is, you don't do this, you let this slide, you let this go, you let this happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a place where you get into contention to some degree with the partner that you're currently with. And that is a ping in your nervous system, and that brings you into some level of overwhelm or some level of internal conflict that has to be navigated. So the rules that we're setting here is, I'm going at this at the pace I can go at this. I'm doing this at the level that I'm able to do with this. And, when I hit my overwhelm, and the push in the back isn't a helpful piece for me to move forward in this. It actually creates more conflict between you and I, and it makes this other process that I'm trying to get through substantially harder. So this comes back to that place of setting boundaries, not just with our exes, but with our currents, in terms of our capacity and how we are able to move forward with that, and to be able to, for us to take judgment out of how they do theirs, and to encourage them to the perspective of, excuse me, to back off of their push or their judgment as to how I do things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because this really plays a big part in all of it. So they're going to talk about your lack of flexibility. You're not flexible. You're not co-parenting. You're not working with me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a ping, right? That happens all the time for almost everybody that's in this podcast and listening to this.
Yeah.
And, again, we're back to the simple conversation of boundaries. We're going to point back to the parenting plan, and we're going to stick to that parenting plan unless it falls under the emergency category, which is very simple, which we've talked about a lot.
Yep.
This is the boundary. And this is where as we start to really coalesce around these concepts that we're talking about all the time, that really allow our nervous system to drop in, to settle down, because we've got that pattern. We're going to talk in future pieces. We've got some fun podcasts coming up with Eric, and again, we're going to bring him into some parts conversations and some bigger concepts around this. But to hear, just to kind of tickle that a little bit, how we deal with this stuff is reprogramming the brain and setting up a different hologram. You know, this is what we're creating. This is what this looks like. This is how we go. And this is what starts to manifest out of this. And as that hologram gets set up, as we're dealing with these types of solutions to engagement or disengagement, that begins to take over. It begins to reprogram. So the boundaries, you know, the lack of flexibility and the boundaries, back to the parenting plan, the children's school, you know, you're not engaging with the children's school. You're not getting their homework done. You're not, you know, these are noises or they're real. And if they're just noises, we're back to crickets, right?
Yeah.
Just take care of your business. And if they're real, we've got to up our game. We've got to go, okay, I'm in overwhelm. I'm not dealing with this. I've got to reschedule. You know, I had a client come in today that has problems with meeting time schedules, even appointment schedules. And it adds to their own level of overwhelm, because they're pushing up against, I'm late.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is a matter of programming. You know, you and I have had this podcast to do today, and I wasn't prepared last night. But I came in at 6:30 this morning and sat down and did my podcast outline and made sure that it was there. So when you and I showed up, I'm out of overwhelm. We got this going. We've got this handled.
Right.
And getting here at 6:30 in the morning was not overwhelming to me. It just meant I got to get up a little early, which meant I had to go to bed a little bit early.
Right.
And this is the planning of our system so we don't go into those pieces. So we are regulating our world, and we're taking care of the business at hand, which is our business at hand, which is in this case our children, right? Mm-hmm. Children's homework, having them ready for school, doing these other pieces.
Right.
Children's extracurriculars. Yeah, we all have this one going on, right? You've had it. Almost every parent I talk to is in some form of argument with the extracurricular plan. Again, we point everybody back to the parenting plan. We point the other parent in any response that we're going to do is yeah, this is my parenting time. Pay attention to what's important for the kids. Don't overbook them, and don't let the other parent overbook them on your time. So if there's this place at extracurriculars where it's important to the children and we can slide our schedule into working with that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But when that extracurricular starts to impinge on our parenting time on a constant basis, and we don't have the opportunity to engage in the genuine expectation opportunities, those positive anticipation events that we talk about all of the time in here, which is our parenting time, right? Yeah. This is the parenting time where we get to enjoy our children, we get to take care of activities, we get to do things that are life enriching, and not just these pinpoint moments of we've got volleyball, then we've got soccer, then we've got baseball, then we've got basketball, then we've got travel ball, then we've got all of these things that impinge on our opportunity to parent.
Yeah.
Then we peel that back and we just point to, no, not on my time. Or we point to, this is what I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
And then let them take the next step. And again, after we've made that component, we just go back to crickets. I stated, right. I don't need to go here anymore.
Yeah.
Because this ping pong that happens, if you've ever played ping pong, oftentimes it starts out just as a rhythm and then it just escalates, right? Or
right.
tactics and we're starting to look for that spot where we can crush it. We want to get out of that sequencing. Children's medical needs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
See the parenting plan.
Right. There's a theme.
Be involved and give information. And I am changing. I did this today, and I'm going to consciously do this from now on. I'm going to take away a component of Bill Eddy's BIFF, and from now it's BIFN.
Yeah, Biffin.
There
you go.
And just, give the information that needs to be done, show up where you need to show up, give the input that you need to give, and stay focused on what the children's needs are.
So what's your version again? What's Biffin stand for?
Brief, informative, factual, and neutral.
And we want that through our family wizard. We definitely don't want that shouting at each other over the hood of the car while the kids are waiting, right, to go to your house or whatever.
Sure.
We don't need
that communication just does not happen.
We don't need to be on the phone with people that are difficult or we're in high conflict with. We can reduce it all to just email or our family wizard, basically, right?
Right.
Which makes it a lot easier to be. Well, those are things you can take a pause and rewrite, or show other people, or have other people write for you, which my girlfriend and I do a lot. You know what I mean? Like help each other out.
Right.
Yeah, neutral's a good addition. We don't need to be super friendly.
No. I mean, we're setting a boundary. We're being neutral. So, yeah, that's where we want to start to really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
So the next component in that is the psych needs.
Psychological?
Yep. 2 pieces for your children.
Okay.
Don't stand in the way. Your children need the support here. You be a part of the choosing, but don't stand in the way just to be in that place of choosing. And don't let the other person stand in the way. This is an important piece. You're going to end up in court at some point. Add that to your parenting plan and make that a piece of the communication that happens in this process. It takes you out of the middle.
Yeah.
It puts that professional in the place where they're gathering the information for the kids. And if they need to say something to the other parent about what's taken place, they're going to say something to the other parent that needs to take place.
Yeah. That could be really useful to have a third party professional telling the other parent something, right?
Yeah. Travel.
Oh, yeah.
There's always conversations about travel, right?
Yes. Yep.
See the parenting plan.
Yeah.
This comes back to the conversation sometimes of flexibility.
Yep.
I don't have to be flexible. I don't have to be flexible. When I'm flexible, I get in trouble. Things go awry. Things start to take on their own nature. So see the parenting plan.
Yeah.
You didn't abide by the parenting plan? Pound sand. You didn't give me notice? There's a boundary. Now, sometimes stuff comes up and it makes sense. I just got this. This just came through. We want to look at it. We want to be reasonable. There's a place for some level of flexibility. But we know what's going on in the background. And if we want to stand our ground on something, say no.
Yeah, if you find they're abusing the flexibility, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And in most cases here, somebody's trying to abuse the flexibility. I just got a phone call from my mom and she's going to be in town next week and I want to trade time. You could sit there and go, okay, you can see the kids. Or you can say, we got plans.
Yeah.
And both are okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, once we start to move off of the boundary, we typically set a pattern of we're going to have to be moving off this boundary again.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Schedules. I want to change. I got something going on. I want to do that. See above. Parenting plans.
Yeah.
We're back to that component of, no, we're just going to stay here in the parenting plan. And what I like to really do, and you guys have heard this in previous podcasts, is when we're talking about parenting plans to kind of try to leave that level of first right of refusal out, and to have our own network of people that we can lean on if we need to do something, and put that there.
Yeah.
Using our family wizard, we're having that conversation a lot here today. That's a great piece of software. That's a communication software that really allows you to do less, right? And be able to track what and why you're doing less with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, no, it is. It's good. And then the landmines and the traps that, come out of not communicating or communicating more. And we want to really be aware of the landmines. And the biggest landmines that happen here in a nutshell are not holding boundaries.
Yeah.
Being all over the map and not paying attention to your own reactivity. So if we're tracking our own reactivity, we know where to go and where not to go. We've kind of laid out a template a little more specifically today than we have in the past about some of those landmines that come up, about some of those issues that come up. And we can go back and we can go, okay, I don't do that, I don't do that, I don't do that. And then just having the ability to go back and track what we have done through our emails or our family wizard, whichever one of these that we're using, and being able to say, okay, I did this all right. Or if somebody is pulling up an accusation or something where they're coming at us about our communication style or lack of, we can really codify that and say, no, I'm on track here. I'm okay. I don't have to make apologies. And I have something that I can lean back on and say, yeah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody else can see.
Right.
So that's kind of where I wanted to go today. We're not, dealing with a long-term process here. It's really concise. We've got a lot of things that I've pushed you back to listen to look at. And is there anything you want to add to the conversation?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a theme here, it's really the importance of the parenting plan. And this is actually how I met you first, right? Mm-hmm. I was in a mediation, and you were the one building the parenting plan as we attempted to use mediation instead of court.
Right.
And I'm guessing, even though this is the High Conflict Co-Parenting podcast and, people get in touch, we hear some real horror stories. I'm guessing there's also a scale. There's also levels of conflict. Is it possible that some of the people listening just need mediation, just need you to communicate with them and their ex and build a parenting plan because they don't have one, or it's not up to date or something like that?
Well, yeah, there's that possibility. And
well, do you review parenting plans? I mean, can someone send you?
I review parenting plans all the time with clients and help them try to look at the points that need to be reflected. I've got clients that I'm working with, that I work with consistently over time, that they're going into mediation and they're trying to set the standards for their parenting plan as they go. And
yeah,
a place where, in the front end, whether they are going through private mediation, whether they're going through family court mandatory mediation, or they're going to court, that having that parenting plan set up with these standards in them is very, very helpful long-term, because, they're starting to set the tempo and somebody else isn't setting the tempo, and what we put in it makes sense.
Yeah.
So when they're going into mediation, this very important document that comes out as a part of the settlement is it's concise, it's precise, it's not amorphed into something that is going to cause problems later. And to get those pieces nailed down up front is important. And it's worth the time up front to try to make these pieces stick, because what we're talking about makes sense, whether this is a non-conflictual relationship, whether this is a semi-conflictual relationship, or whether it's a high conflict relationship.
Yeah.
All of these standards are something that at some point are going to come up.
Mm-hmm. And maybe in closing, what's your recommendation for listeners where the other party is not obeying the parenting plan or not following it or...
So that's simply the place where on some level we track where they're not paying attention to the parenting plan, where they're not doing what is prescribed in there, and assessing, is this an important piece or not? Because sometimes somebody not adhering to a parenting plan is a tactic to get you to engage.
Right. So the answer is not to call them up and scream at them about it, but you can track it. And let's say here in California, where during the divorce, you're checking in at court every 3 months. If, 3 months, you turn in 3 months of tracking, and Your Honor, he's still not following the parenting plan. What can we do about this? And then 3 months later, he's still not following the parenting plan. What do we do about this? Right. At some point, the judge is going to get involved, or something's going to happen, right?
Well, judges are decision makers.
Yeah.
And most judges have some level of ego, and that's not a judgment. That's just a fact. And that's, we've all got those pieces. You've put me in a place of authority. I've made a decision, and you're going against what I've told you to do. That wears on them. Yeah.
So, well, I guess the way we feel when we ask a kid to do something and they don't, we're like upset about it, right? It's probably that feeling that you can trigger in the judge towards the other person by just keeping it peaceful, but tracking it and turning in a report card, so to speak.
Right. And, I'm going to turn this in when it makes sense. And there's places here, it's like, I'm just going to sit back and take care of my parenting. That's not, that's not an essential boundary. But that's an essential boundary. I'm going to hold this piece here. I'm going to make this piece stick because it has a large effect. They're not showing up 15 minutes. They're showing up 15 minutes late every time. Okay, well, I'm reading a book. I'm going to deal with that. They're not reading the children. I'm going to do something about that.
You're right.
They moved and they haven't told me. I'm going to do something about it.
But if they show up early, you don't have to turn the kids over, right? If they come 2 hours early, you can say, come back in 2 hours, right?
Right.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Anything else?
I think that does it for this week, guys.
Perfect. This has been episode 71, guys, of the High Conflict Co-Parenting Podcast. And we'll come back next week with another exciting topic. Brooke will be in at 6:30 working on the right? You did a great job, man. Thank you for getting up early for us and preparing it. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care. Bye.